Good day. My name is Frank. It's a Korea, and as I shoot this video, we are 6 days away from the Nevada caucuses. Wow, that would be really bad numbers. 6 days from the Nevada caucus. It doesn't exactly feel like it. Why is that? It's because Nevada never mattered. So like and subscribe, hate and comment. This is why Nevada just doesn't matter. It's 5 points, little bullets in here, and first I'm just going to go over why Nevada is in the spot that it is to begin with. Well, traditionally, since the 70s, Iowa's gone first in a caucus, New Hampshire's gone first as a primary, and states would sort of jockey for position to go earlier. There was the whole creation of Super Tuesday. That didn't necessarily work. It was supposed to be a decisive blow for Democrats, became a decisive blow for Republicans. They've been trying to figure out how can we get some impact regionally before we have a bunch of states vote. And so while they were stuck with New Hampshire and Iowa going first, because they kept fighting for it, the 2008 election was supposed to clear this up. Iowa Central, New Hampshire Northeast, both Republicans and Democrats independently came up with the idea that South Carolina fits. It's a southern state. Traditionally, South Carolina has nominated whoever they nominate with the delegates tends to win the nomination. Going out west became a little bit of an issue. Now, they didn't want to do California and Texas because it's way too big. Get that. John McCain, senator from Arizona, running for president. Governor Richardson, governor, Democrat from New Mexico, running for president. So they kind of nixed those. Then you got Colorado, Utah, Nevada. And they kind of went through it and decided, you know what, let's go to Nevada. Young state, burgeoning state. Let's try that. And it's fun. There's gambling. So they picked it. Not that Florida and Michigan cared. They went ahead and they jumped their primaries into January. It sort of already started the downward spiral of why Nevada doesn't matter. But since then, there's been a protection of one of the big four. Supposedly, Nevada is one of those, but it really hasn't. So the first point of why it isn't is because it's still a caucus. Now, caucus is about turnout models. It's hard to poll because you need to get somebody who's going to be there from noon to at least 2 on a Saturday to fight it out. And if you've got kids, if you've got work, which is a big issue I'll get to later on, it's hard to get those things negotiated. It's about organizing. It's not about votes. As Pete Buttigieg can tell you, it doesn't matter if you score the most points. It matters if you win the most games. Thanks to Iowa. On that regard, Nevada isn't a very good choice demographically. Now, yes, it is a smallish state, but it's still about the same size as Iowa, population-wise. And it does have a lot of Latinos, and that's very important for Democrats. They want to get the Latino vote, and they want to get the Latino ideals, and they want to get that out there, and they choose a state that is over 20% union, which most Latinos are nowhere near union. And they're not manufacturing or police, fire, government. It's, hotel workers and casino bosses and the like. So they don't really fit into any sort of mold. They also work on Saturdays and weekends and nights. So it already kind of affects your ability to get those voters to your caucus. On the Republican side, even though the state is only 4% members of the Church of Latter-day Saints, Republicans are more like 13%, and when it comes to caucuses and primaries, in the state of Nevada, it's closer to 20%. So, a very small minority having a great impact on the Republican side, on the Democratic side, just demographically, it doesn't really fit anything. It doesn't. You can't duplicate it anywhere else. They also have an unfortunate ability to be a rather young state. I mean that in population, not in actual age of the state. The population has gone up something like 100% over the last 30 years, and much of that is through childbirth and immigration. Well, unless you are a naturalized citizen registered to vote, you can't vote when you're an immigrant, and you can't vote when you're under 18. So Nevada's voter tolls in general tend to be a little bit less than the general populace. That's not necessarily a problem for Republicans, but it is a problem for Democrats because it brings you to point 4. Democrats don't like young people. They don't like Latinos, and they don't like minorities. Why do we know this? Because they're delicate allocation system hates them. So if you go to thegreenpapers.com, and I will put that in the description below, you can see exactly how Democrats allocate their vote. And it's a gigantic amount of complicated math. They take the number of Democratic votes in each state over the last 3 presidential elections, divide that number by the number of Democrats who voted in all 50 states plus the District of Columbia to come up with an allocation number. That's half of the number. They then take the current number of state electoral votes, divide that by 538, which is all the allocation of electoral votes, to come up with an allocation factor that is multiplied by 3,200. Oh, but then there are bonuses to kick you up. So that's why there's 3,200 delegates, but there's 3,991 actual delegates. Oh, and then there's super delegates and things. So a state like Nevada, which is a really young state, even though it has the same electoral value as Iowa, because it is a much younger state, is a much more Latino state, has a lot of children, like under 18, Nevada had 200,000 fewer Democratic voters than Iowa. So even though Iowa has not gone Republican in the last election, and Nevada has gone Democrat Iowa has not gone Democrat in the last election, and Nevada has gone Democrat the last 3, Nevada is worth less than Iowa with the same population. And you wonder why young people get disenfranchised and think that there's nothing to vote for. And yeah, you are punishing Latinos who are far less likely to vote than the general population because of immigration and they're just far less likely to vote. You're punishing African Americans too, because the same people who decry that there should be voter laws or they shouldn't have voter ID laws, and that the laws are meant to hurt African American votes. If that's true, you are punishing them. States with big black populations, if they, either because they're younger in voters or just they've been disenfranchised for whatever reason. The final point is, well, it's an East Coast bias. So if anybody is a fan of college football, there's Marcus Mariota, and then there's some guys who played at USC, which is Los Angeles, means you get to play Notre Dame and you get to play in the East Coast a lot. And that's it for picking the Heisman Texas West. Okay, the Heisman is dominated by teams in the Southeast and the Northeast and the Midwest because, well, voters live there and people live there and they care about that. They don't care about anything west of the Mississippi. That's true in elections. Okay, it just is. So if Florida was in Arizona, man, would we be really weird with all that desert and no rainforest, but it would matter a heck of a lot less, okay, than if you switch it. Okay, so South Carolina, which hasn't gone Democratic since, I don't know, JFK maybe, it's been a long time, is considered way more valuable than Nevada, which is an actual battleground state, because South Carolina's in the East Coast, and Nevada's not. So Nevadaites, learn how to move east and bring your gambling with you. Like and subscribe, hate, and comment just so you get an idea what the polling says, if it is meaningful at all. Sanders is probably going to win. It's one of the reasons why the union chose not to endorse, because they hate Sanders, because Sanders' policies goes completely against what they believe, but their membership probably has a little bit more of affinity towards that. And with the Biden sinking ship, he never actually went to Nevada after the loss in New Hampshire. He went right to South Carolina. Again, the East Coast bias. Buttigieg, Warren, Klobuchar not expected to do very well. They probably none of them will actually be viable. Again, that's at 15% threshold statewide. But it doesn't matter because South Carolina is the Saturday after that. So everybody have fun and go Caucus.